So we're going to do that today. Let's get cracking. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. It is a pleasure to have you, and I'm really excited to kick this one off. Just a little bit of context about why we're here. So my name's Kat, and I'm the influencer marketing lead at GetYourGuide. And a little while ago, we asked you, what would be the most valuable thing for you to learn as part of our community and from a brand perspective. And the thing that came up the most was this particular topic. So how to create a media kit that will really resonate with the brands that you're trying to approach. And then, of course, how to actually pitch to them. So I'm just admitting people while I talk. Yeah, so I'm happy to soon hand you over to Yen. She is working with us at GetYourGuide, and she will guide you through this topic. She has many years of experience working with some of the world's biggest brands and agencies. So we felt that she would be perfectly placed to be able to give you this unique insight into what brands actually look for when working with influencers, and really just understanding our perspective as well. So just a couple of small ground rules before we begin. I have muted everyone just to avoid any kind of background interference. And if you have a question during the webinar, please feel free to include it in the chat. We will have a Q&A at the end for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I will try to go through as many as possible at the end. So questions definitely welcome. So without further ado, I will let Yen share her screen and we can get going.
All right, first obstacle. Let's see if I can do this. I hope everybody can see my screen. Great. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to what I have to say in regards to building your media kit and how to pitch to brands. Here's a rough outline of what we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to introduce myself and tell you who I am and what brands and agencies I have worked with, and also tell you a little bit about my day-to-day tasks. And then we're going to talk about the media kit, because I think I've seen hundreds of media kits. And so today we're going to talk about what your media kit needs to include and how to create your media kit. And also I mentioned common mistakes in media kits, because sometimes there's like information missing, sometimes there's too much information, but we'll talk about it. And then after that, we're going to talk about how to find brands, because obviously that's what everybody is very interested in, and how to pitch for brands, and also what to include in your email when you pitch yourself and your work to brands. And after that, we're hopefully going to have time for a Q&A. So drop your questions once they come up in the chat, and we'll go over them later after I'm done presenting. So this is me. I am an influencer marketing consultant, and I have 8 years of experience in the marketing industry, 4 of them in the influencer marketing industry, almost 5, which means you could call, or I could consider myself an early adapter, because I think, like, as you all know, like, influencer marketing has been around for a while, but the way it's measured nowadays and the way that brands work, with influencers has really developed. Since April 2019, I am a freelancer, and I worked for the biggest influencer marketing agencies in the UK, but also in Germany, because I'm actually born and raised in Germany. I've worked with loads of brands, including Amazon, Nike, Dell, Expedia, Singapore Tourism Board, and my usual day-to-day consists of researching influencers, outreaching to them, negotiating with them if it's a paid campaign, and then also contracting influencers. So I will draft out the contract and make sure that everything is included. And then the next stage is, of course, content approval. So I'm going to be chasing you guys for your content to receive it in time and to make sure it's approved, it's on brand. And then last but not least, I'm going to chase you guys hopefully again for your insights, because we obviously need to report on the insights to measure the performance. So first of all, what should your media kit include? I think the first point that really came to my mind was to have clickable and easily visible social handles. Just because, you know, we get so many media kits per day via email, and most of the time, you know, when you open a media kit, you want to not just see the media kit, but you first want to click onto the Instagram handle or YouTube handle or whatever platform your main platform is. And I've came across a lot of media kits that where you can't click on the links. So it's really important that you hyperlink your social handles, just because it's easier for us to have a first impression of your channel. What is also really important, in our opinion, to include our most recent KPIs is screenshots from your socials. So for example, story views, your engagement rate, follower demographics, impressions, but also most of the agencies and brands use platforms where we can see things such as engagement rate and demographics, but it would still be great for you to include them because, for example, insights of reels, because most of the platforms can't really pick up reels, and which lowers your engagement rate. So it would be great to just have a few insights and screenshots, but also the reason why we're asking for screenshots is to ensure the validity of insights, because in the past we have received a lot of like fake insights, or like obviously you can't write anything you wanted to your media kit, but we actually need most of the time now we actually require to send the most recent story views in the past 7 days in reach, because for example, I've worked with a lot of mommy bloggers, and when I asked for the insights, they always sent me screenshots of their story views from the day, like for example, their child was born and obviously they spiked. And then when I go onto their Instagram, I see that, you know, their child is now 6 months old and the insights are 6 months old. And obviously it's not a good reflection of their usual average story views. Then what is also really important is to include or useful is to include examples of sponsored postings. I'm sure everybody in this room is battling or fighting their daily battle with the Instagram algorithm. And we know that sponsored postings are not favored by the algorithm. We know that everybody's engagement has the majority of people's engagement have dropped due to the Instagram algorithm, because it's a mess. It makes our life harder as well. So be transparent and, you know, don't send us just like your best performing sponsored post from back in the day, but also like most recent sponsored postings, just because we know that and we take that into consideration. And that's why, for example, we optimize and ask for reels, for example, instead of just feed posts, because we know that reels are favored by the Instagram algorithm. We have to ensure that we can make proper estimations to hit certain campaign deliverables, because every campaign that we have has an objective and a target. So yeah, we just need to make sure that we're making good estimations in order to hit those campaign deliverables. A bonus in your media kit would be to have examples of link clicks of recent campaigns, just because most of the time we do link clicks are a reflection of an intent to purchase, or in general, like high interest in the product or experience that you are communicating. And brands and agencies obviously have to achieve some sort of ROI. Hence why if we see, oh my gosh, she posted this water bottle and 5,000 people clicked and swiped up, and we will know, okay, this type of content, like very adsy content, actually performs better than like, you know, more on the authentic side of things. Also, it would be great if you put your niche profile category onto your page, just because then in our heads we can already imagine, oh, okay, her niche is doing luxury travel on a budget, so we have this campaign coming up, and it would be great if she could do a video like this, so it would make our lives easier. Or for example, solo travel, and then we know, okay, next time you're gonna have a piece of content of top things to do while solo traveling and showcase some of our experiences. So that would be very helpful. Here are some common mistakes. I know I've already mentioned a couple in the last slide, but for example, if the media kit is too visual and like too flashy, it kind of distracts from what we're actually looking at, because we scan for, you know, facts and figures. So if you could keep it simple and neutral, that would actually be preferred. Then too little numbers is also a common mistake. So for example, don't just make your media kit look like a portfolio, and don't just add like 10 brand logos that you have worked with in the past, because that actually doesn't tell us anything about the work you have done. It would be better to see the post and see how they perform and see what you've worked on. So it would be great to include like results, showcase like results from other brand campaigns that you've worked on, just so we know, okay, this performs well on your channel. Too much text is also an issue, because I usually can't spend more than 2 minutes looking at a media kit to scan for information that I look for. So having too much text won't be very beneficial. So keep it simple, facts and figures, and try and avoid vague numbers, just because, for example, I've gone viral on TikTok one time, and I don't have that many followers. I have like 1,200 followers on TikTok. If I would send brands the my all-time number of impression, and then they book me, and literally the next video is just gonna have 500 views, they're gonna be like, what the heck? So vague numbers, they don't really matter. And like also, I can't really interpret them. So for example, all-time number of impressions, all-time number of XYZ, like it doesn't really matter. We need to see, okay, what can you bring to the table, and what is the type of content that suits your channel, and how can we align that with our brand? So probably a lot of you guys know Canva. I love Canva, and I would say the pro version is worth every penny, just because I use Canva every single day for work, and I think it's a great tool. It's I don't have any Photoshop skills, so I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the room that have amazing Photoshop skills. But for the ones that are looking for a great page to have templates on, Canva is great, and it's actually really affordable. I think they just updated their payment plan, so now it's called Pro, and it's for 1 to 5 people, whereas before that it was just Canva Pro, I think. But yeah, that's a great page to design media kits, and you can literally use the template and change the colors, change the font, change the pictures, change everything, or you can even do one from scratch. But it gives you a lot of inspiration. So I would definitely recommend to download Canva. These are not real numbers, but I thought I should go out of my way to create a media kit example to you guys, for you guys. I love looking at media kits where I can see Instagram demos, YouTube demos, TikTok demos, just because they are different. And if I want to use you for a German campaign, you know, I would use Instagram, for example. If I want to use you for a TikTok campaign, as you can see on the insides here, I would use you on TikTok. So every campaign, every platform, obviously, and so I would differentiate between platforms. I would also, here you can see the social handles and the follower number, also fake, because I don't have 2.3 million followers on TikTok. And then here's my niche. So for example, mine is solo female travel, or luxury hotels, or travel hacks and foodie tours. So I, as a brand, you will know, okay, this is what she regularly posts about. That's amazing. Here are the contact details. And then here are campaign examples. So for example, I've done a Amazon Fresh campaign, and here are the real views, the saves, the likes, the link clicks, and app downloads, for example, that you can showcase, just so that we know, okay, this is great. This is what she or he is good at, and this is amazing. So let's go with that. We see this type of content perform well on her channel, so let's do that. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about finding brands. I think this is something, yeah, a lot of people are very interested in, because I think a lot of people already have their media kit. Maybe you can optimize it after this webinar, but finding brands, I think, is something everybody is super interested in. Yeah. So basically, I've also worked for a talent agency, and my job was finding brands, finding brand contacts, helping talents find brands. And what I would do day to day is, for example, follow users that so I would follow users that you find inspiring and are similar to your vertical. For example, travel influencer. Whenever they post a brand collaboration under #ad, you will know that these brands work with influencers. I would then make a list of brands that you find interesting, your so-called, we called it the dream brands list, and check their social media to make sure your content would fit with what they are sharing. So for example, let's say, I don't know, you see like a brand and the tone is quite neutral, like the aesthetics and stuff. They're more on the conservative side, or they're more on the free-spirited side. You need to check that out before reaching out to them, because every brand has their tone of voice. And if yours doesn't align with them, then maybe they're not the best fit for you to be authentic and be yourself. I would reach out to via DM first and wait to see if they reply, just because every brand should have a community manager whose job it is to reply to your DMs. So I would do that first. Most of the time they come back with an email address, and then you can reach out via email. I also used a PR directory, for example, Diary Directory, which is a PR directory, and you can find email addresses on these pages. So for example, I want to work with, I don't know, I want to work with GetYourGuide. Let me go onto this page. I'll type in GetYourGuide, and then it'll show me contacts of GetYourGuide. And then it would say Influencer Relations Manager, Kat, and then her email. So that's a great idea. It does come with a cost though, but in the end of the day, you know, you aspire to be a business, invest into yourself, because you can make that money back really quickly. And then with so many people in this room today, and I've seen that a lot of you guys have put your social handles next to your names. Network with each other, because I actually work with a lot of mommy bloggers, and if I reached out to one mommy blogger, 3 others would message me, because there's enough, you know, work out there for everyone. And once, for example, that mommy was locked in, 3 or 4 of her network would email me, and I was like, oh my God, I actually need more mommy bloggers for this campaign. Great. And they just came up to me, like they just emailed me. That makes my life easier. So network with each other, because at the end of the day, like for example, when one of you guys have a great campaign, ask, hey, are you guys looking for more? I have XYZ here, please check her out. It really helps. And we actually always consider recommendations, because yeah, I feel like sometimes content creators, they think there's too many of us out there. But guys, if you ever worked on the other side, so on my side, you'll realize that there's not enough influencers and content creators. There's not enough. Like sometimes we really narrow down to a pool of 5 influencers, and then 4 of them not interested, or for whatever reason, then we have 1 left. So guys, network with each other and make sure that you recommend each other to brands. And yeah. So this is how the directory looks. Unfortunately, I didn't have the login anymore, but you would see here contacts, brands, PR companies, etc., creative agencies, be included, for example. So there is a industry influencer tab where you can sign up to, and they would list you. So then brands might go onto this page and look for influencers and would find you guys. This is a spreadsheet that I've done in the past, a very random one. I've actually never reached out to them because I didn't have to, but create a spreadsheet with all your PR contacts and stay on top of your outreach. So, right, last contacted, July 25th, Chase, July 26th. Really make sure to stay on top of this, because in the end of the day, that's business development, and it's good to have a spreadsheet where you have all the names of the contacts. So what to include in your email? I would start every email because, you know, it's basically, you need to be a little bit clickbaity. So start with a punchy line, including what you've seen the brand is doing with other content creators. Say, hi, my name is Yen, and I'm a travel content creator, and I loved your XYZ campaign, your summer campaign. Why? And then you should also mention why you would be a great fit. So for example, my followers always ask me for recommendations of cities I visited. Get Your Guide would be an authentic fit and sit organically within my feed, as most of my reels are experiences abroad. Perfect. And then you include your media kit. And I would also like add some credentials and hyperlink these posts. Check out my most recent post that I've done for the Singapore Tourism Board here. And that's like how they get the first impression. And also include your handle so that they can click on it, include your media kit. Yeah, so it's another great idea. And that's it. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Yen. It actually did go quicker than I thought, but I think it was.
I sometimes end up talking very fast.
You're just so excited about all the valuable information.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was amazing. We already have a couple of questions that maybe we can go through together. Feel free to keep adding them in as we go. We do have a bit of extra time, so that is great. Okay, so first one is from Amish. He says, it is to my knowledge that media kits are 1 pages. Is 2 better now?
I've seen media kits between 1 and 10 pages. 10 might be too much, but 2 is actually quite okay. It's not like a strict rule like CVs. In the end of the day, it is a piece of data or document that basically presents you from your best side, and that gives you a chance to include facts and figures. So I must say 1 page was hard for me. But I think like 1 or 2 is great. If you can fit it into 1, that's great. If it includes valuable information, then go with 1 page, but 2 pages work well as well. I've honestly seen very long media kits. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, I would just add that, just keep it to whatever's actually relevant. So, don't overfill your media kit because you think it's necessary. If it fits on 1 page, then it fits on 1 page. And if it fits on 2, then it fits on 2. Okay, so Michelle says, for newbies, a media kit would be light on sponsored posts. Any suggestions there?
Yeah, so even when I've done my portfolio as a freelancer, obviously I didn't have 10 clients. So I actually came up with, just creative work that I've done that wasn't paid for, and that was performing well and fulfill the purpose. So I would also include posts, organic posts on your page that have done really well, because in the end of the day, the brand will interpret that as, okay, this is the type of content that works on your channel. So we could actually try this out.
Great. And one question was, what do you mean by sponsored posts? Is it collabs or ads run by the creator? I did respond in the chat, but we just mean any campaign that you do with a brand.
Yeah.
Okay, Imani says, I have 1,600 followers and great engagement, but I've heard that 2,000 followers is key. Can I pitch to brands now? And if so, how do I look more attractive than someone with higher numbers? Good question.
Yeah, I've worked with so many brands that specifically requested specific creators, although they didn't have more than, 5,000 followers. I worked on running shoot campaigns with creators that had less than 2,000. They had brand collaborations, and the reason for that is because if you are niche and you have great content, good quality content, you have a vision, you're creative, then it really doesn't matter, because if a brand likes you, and then they will go with that. And also a lot of brands nowadays, they actually just want to buy, for example, social assets off of you to promote on their page, because they see your content works on social. So we actually don't need you to post, for example. We're fine with buying content of you and amplify it with paid, for example. So I've also worked with a lot of smaller creators, and obviously they've been tagged and everything and credited on the brand's page, but it really doesn't matter. It does not matter.
I would agree with that. I think, yeah, for us as well, there's not a particular number of followers that makes sense. It's really about the content quality and the engagement and the fit for the brand. And if you have that, then brands don't look at whether you have 1,600 or 2,000. It's not a huge deal. Amy asked, how much is the diary directory?
I think it was a bit expensive. I don't remember the certain price anymore, but also that I remember I worked for an agency and they shared one login detail. So if you have other friends that are planning to develop their business, then share your login details, because why not? And you can split it. Yeah.
Cool. What are brands looking for in terms of audience, other than engagement, ROI, and location?
So much. Where do I even start? We're looking for what, we sometimes even go through the comments and see how is the community of that person, like how is the community, are they engaged, what is the sentiment on each post. Other than engagement, ROI, and location, I would say on these platforms that you can check insights of an influencer for. Sometimes it even says like what followers are interested in. So for example, I worked with a running shoe campaign and they wanted to have landscape photographers, and we had to kind of like educate the client. Well, they have, obviously they go hike and they post nice landscape pictures, but just to let you know, their audience might not be interested in hiking shoes, but more into Photoshop, how to take nice pictures, etc. So yeah, maybe Kat, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all very important factors: engagement, return of investment, and yeah, the location of the audience. But in terms of, and those are the things that we most look for, particularly at Get Your Guide, because we have target markets that we're sort of trying to attract. So we do look at the where the audience is based. And then of course, we really want to understand how your audience engages with your content. So especially if you've done any other kind of brand collaborations, we want to know, what are the comments like? Are they talking about the brand? Are they talking about something else? Did they engage with that content in the way that the brand would have expected? And those are things that we surprisingly do look into as well. So yeah, I think mirroring your comments there, Yen. So Amy says, I know my niche and my content is important, and there's not many folks in my niche. How do I find specific brands that align with me?
Well, what I mentioned is, for example, to find people that are similar to you or have similar interests, and also to just, think about what are your values, what kind of products or brands do you want to support. So for example, if you are big on sustainability, make a list of sustainable brands that you align with, find creators that have similar beliefs like you, and find brands through their channel. That's how I would approach it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Do you know any resources that are worth it for, I guess, channel audits? Imani asked.
Well, Kat and I are looking at quite a few currently, but there is a lot of really great platforms. There is Tagger, Clear with K. There is Hype Auditor, which is a great page. There are so many. There are, Kat, what are the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of great influencer marketing tools that are more for the brand side, but I think some of them also have an influencer sort of module as well, which I haven't really looked into because I've always been on the brand side. But yeah, we can perhaps have a look, Imani, and share some resources that we have after this. But yeah, we've worked with quite a lot of influencer marketing tools that also have opportunities for creators as well. Is there a way to decrease gatekeeping of rates, connections, etc. as creators? Not sure I understand that one. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean like as in when you network, or what do you, I'm not sure.
Maybe Amy, you could just clarify that one and we'll try to get to it later because they're a little bit confused about that one. Okay, Amanda says, any tips for standing out as a small creator? Do brands tend to dismiss smaller creators that reach out? I have a hard time hearing back even after I follow up. Haha.
Yeah, that obviously can always happen because like in the end of the day, a lot of brands, you know, they think the bigger the platform, the higher the link clicks could be, the higher the potential ROI. But as I said, I think like within the past 2 years, I've seen like a huge shift in influencer marketing. It goes more towards having good content rather than a big platform, because brands now want to amplify more paid spend. I don't know if any of you guys have been approached where brands just want like assets to promote on that page. So I think there's a big shift right now, and I can feel that heavily in the work that I do, that a lot of brands actually prefer smaller influencers and buying assets of micros and nano influencers to promote on their channel. So for example, the other day, not the other day, a few weeks ago, I actually went to a new type of food grocery store where you don't have to, I can't say the name, but like where you don't have to go to the register, to the till to pay. So you can just scan and then walk in and walk out. And we, on this campaign, we wanted to, for example, buy Reels and TikTok type of content from the creator. We did not look for big creators. We wanted to have the authentic people that are local to that shop and who can create and shoot content. So yeah, I would say that brands nowadays, they don't really dismiss smaller creators if your content is good. So I would really focus on content rather than growing or like optimizing your content to the extent that it's not you and it's inauthentic, but just to grow your following. Yeah. I hope that made sense. Sorry, I sometimes talk in a maze.
I think it made sense. And I completely agree. And, you know, I really think that brands don't dismiss smaller creators. I think, you know, for example, at Get Your Guide, we of course work with larger creators like upwards of 1 million and more, but we also see the huge value that nano and micro influencers have. And we think there's a lot of potential there. And for us, it's really important to build these loyal relationships right from the beginning and, you know, support you to help you grow. And then as you grow, you know, we can insert you into paid campaigns as well.
Exactly.
So I think you're right, Yen, that there's been a huge shift towards that as well.
And also, just on that note, I remember like when I worked for brands and agencies, I think a lot of creators actually don't believe when we say, we want to test you first, like let's work on a test, you know, basis first, like unpaid basis, and then later on we can rediscuss it. We actually do that. Like we want to see how people, you know, first of all, also how reliable people are to work with, how professional, how easy it is to work with a person, and how the content looks like, how it sits on our channel. And then we would actually come back and be like, oh my God, you would be a great fit for this campaign. Let's do it. And this time you'll get paid. So I know that it always seems like they're just lying and they're not going to consider me for paid, but actually they might do in the future if your content has been great.
Okay, Isabella asks, what happens if your collab stats underperform? At the moment, the reach for Reels has been quite low among other creators I know.
So we know that. And I've worked on a few campaigns lately where the Reels, even like the estimations we already estimated down. And we actually, for one campaign, we had a creator who posted a TikTok where he disclosed ad, and he was like, this can't be it. Like my views have dropped so much. He posted the same video not disclosing ad, and it went viral. So we know of that issue, and in the end of the day, you can't really do anything. Like, don't be afraid. Don't send us like fake stats or whatever, because in the end of the day, we know that sometimes it's not you and it's not your content. That's not the reason for why it doesn't perform. It is the algorithm, and we know that. So what happens if your collab stats perform. It just happens. It's life. Like, honestly, you can't, at the end of the day, you can't really control it, right? And a typical benchmark to know how much to charge, I would always calculate a CPM. Most of the time, it really depends from brand to brand, but the lower your CPM, the better it is for brands. But the benchmark, they change constantly because of the industry changes. So I can't really name a certain industry benchmark. It also depends from country to country, platform to platform.
Yeah, and I would say like every brand, as you said, has their own benchmarks to look for. And the brand has to create, you know, a business case for each collaboration. And, you know, at Get Your Guide, for example, we pay for all of these experiences. So that is like money spent. And to add additional fees on top of that, we need to have a business case. So we need to understand like what is the projection of the number of impressions and the reach that this post is going to get and the engagement that it's going to get in order to know, you know, can we add a fee to this? And so, you know, I think it's always worth asking brands, but you need to, you know, just try to understand what their KPIs are and whether or not that suits you as well. When is on that note, when is the right time to take gifted partnerships?
I think it's never like, it's always the right time. If you like that product, take it. Like, you know, enjoy it. Yeah.
And that's the best way to start working with brands, right? Like when you know, a lot of people here have, you know, very few followers, you're just starting out. That's the way to, you know, to build up your portfolio, to show other brands that, hey, I've worked with this brand and this brand and this brand, and these were the results. And that's really how you get started, by, you know, by taking these gifted partnerships when it resonates with your audience and it's a good fit for you. Best subject line for collaboration emails.
I love clickbait, but I'm not gonna recommend it. Sometimes I'm like, urgent or whatever, but obviously don't do that. I've done really funny subject lines that align with me as a person. One time I worked for a vegan food brand and the subject line was "Hello from the future, F going to Mars." And I was like, oh, okay. So like, you know, if it aligns with the brand, you can change your tone of voice, but to stay true to yourself. I would actually go for more, it always depends on the brand, but I'm more on the humorous, casual side of things. But it is totally up to you. I wouldn't make it look too businessy. Like, try something eye-catchy. Yeah, clickbaity.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to A/B test it, right, and see what works for you. Don't always
Yeah.
go with the same thing, but, you know, try something funny once, and if it doesn't work, go back to serious, and, you know, just play all the pathways. How do you reach out to a brand to create UGC? Is that different from brand partnerships?
Yeah, so it's really funny because I had a friend who's also a nano, and she always posts really aesthetically, like wellness, beauty, jewelry type. She has that type of feed, and she's done so many gifted collabs. And then brands would actually, when they go onto her channel, they're thinking, oh my God, I could save on a photo shoot if I actually pay her for user-generated content. So it is different from a brand partnership, because in the end of the day, you don't have to post the content on your channel. You just create the content for them and give usage rights to them for a limited time, or, you know, like, that's subject to negotiation. But yeah, it's different because you don't have to post it on your channel. It is still a brand partnership because you've worked with them on user-generated content. It's just a different type of campaign. And how you can reach out to them is, if, like, for example, even if you see small and upcoming brands, reach out to them when you see, I love that product, hey, do you want me to create some content for you? Just do it. Yeah, so I would approach them the same way that I approach bigger brands. I would start on Instagram. Maybe I'll get an email. They'll go on your feed. The good thing when you reach out over DM, when you slide into their DMs, is they'll go onto your page and they'll see, oh my God, great, this is a great brand fit. All right, let's discuss via email.
Cool. Just checking the time, we've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to try to be a bit more selective and choose out of the box questions. Okay, one here. Oh, in the campaign example you used, you had very high engagements. 1.3 million, 310,000. For someone that's just starting out, that's a bit daunting. Would you discard these for not having such high numbers?
Wait, I can't see the, oh, here for the campaign example,
Michelle.
Very high engagement for someone just starting. Should we be daunted by those kind of numbers? You review some, no, honestly, don't, because when you are hyperlinked and I see your handle, I go on your page, I would never expect 1.3 million or 310. I think that was just me being funny. If I would give my real numbers, it's really funny because I actually just enjoyed creating TikTok content, and actually 2 brands reached out to me. I was like, okay, and I have 1,000 followers on TikTok. So really, don't be don't be daunted by those type of numbers. Give authentic numbers, because they won't expect that. These numbers are extortionate. Even like I've worked with so many creators, even those numbers, like it would be great. It was like, but you know, times have changed, and first of all, the following number, we don't really look at that anymore. Like if we find a smaller creator who has great engagement and nice relationship to their community, we would prefer that over somebody who has, I don't know, 1.3 million followers, but is not a great brand fit because they take on every collab, they're too global, and they don't have, like, for example, specific country relevance. So for example, 1.3 million, we're doing a German campaign, but 98% are from America. We would never work with that person just because they have a high following.
Yeah, good point. Sophie asks, should we include followers' comments in response to a brand collab in media kits? I would say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to do so many qualitative analysis where I had to collect all the sentiments, the comments, and then actually calculate them. So for example, intent to purchase, negative, positive, love for content creator, love for brand. Brands look at that. They want to see how people are engaging with you, because it's also a reflection of, are you more a storyteller, or are you more like nice feed, but you don't really talk a lot on your stories? So that's how we can assess that.
Yeah, for us, it's really important. It's something that we definitely look at. We want to understand, that's the most important thing, is like, how is your audience resonating with this content about our brand? So including those comments, if there's any relevance to the campaign that you did, is super useful. Can you recommend any tools or places where creators can check the average rates in particular industry niche? I feel it's sometimes hard to get properly paid for your work, especially if you're excited to work with a brand, or if you're just starting, even though your stats and content might be great.
There is a page, I think, I don't know if you guys know it, but I think it's called Influencer Pay Gap. And it's really interesting because influencers post questions on that page. And it's really interesting so that you know, like, how to, this is what it's called, Influencer Pay Gap. Great Instagram channel. Follow it because it's just really informative. Sometimes, you know, you will see, okay, maybe I didn't know my market value. Sometimes you will realize, okay, maybe I should chill. Maybe that's why I never got a collab, because I've been, you know, quoting too much. So go on that page. But other than that, on TikTok Creator Marketplace, you can also see like the average of a fee that a creator would get for a TikTok on on Creator Marketplace. You can create an account and just check it out.
Cool. Okay, so let's do maybe one more. Do all brands require our Instagram insights? My Facebook and Instagram doesn't connect, so I've been refused some brand deals.
It is definitely very useful, depending on what type of collab. But if it's, for example, for user-generated content, then it's fine. If we don't see all the stats, we have tools where we can see most of the important stats without you sending it to us. But it is quite important to be able to share insights, because in the end of the day, brands have to always back their decisions. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And I would say that, yeah, it is very useful, especially just to have a business account so that we can see those insights, because otherwise we have to, as a brand, we have to follow up with a lot of questions and it just takes a lot of the legwork out for us. So if we can, we click on your profile and then we can go to our tool and see, okay, this is their audience demographics, this is their engagement rate, these are all the things we need to know. It just makes it a lot easier. So it's not essential for every brand, but it is definitely useful and makes things a lot easier. Okay, I think we got through most of the questions and we're right on time. I have recorded the session, so if anyone needs it, we can send it around. We can also send around the slides if they're useful. But I just want to say once again, thank you so much to Yen for being here today, for sharing all of this with us. I think it's very useful and something that we know you guys were really interested to understand. If you have any more questions for us, you can always reach out to us via the community channel, via DM to the team, or send us an email, whichever you prefer. But it was great to have you all here, and have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, middle of the night, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks everyone for your time. See you soon.
All right, bye all.